The people of Kansas and Missouri are bracing for the impact of what is quickly turning into a trade war launched by President Trump. And experts warn new proposed tariffs affect everything from the grocery store to the gas pump. They target America's three biggest trading partners, Mexico, Canada, and China. The president ordered a 25% tax on almost all goods from Mexico and Canada, though he's already changing course on that. We'll get to that in a second. He also doubled the tariff he placed last month on Chinese products to 20%. And this is all on top of other tariffs on foreign aluminum, copper, lumber, and steel. The president worked to sell these changes before Congress last week.
Tariffs are about making America rich again and making America great again, and it's happening, and it will happen rather quickly. There'll be a little disturbance, but we're okay with that.
The markets were not okay with that. Stocks tumbled for days after the announcement came down, and leaders from these countries are pushing back, appealing directly to the American people.
We don't want this. We want to work with you as a friend and ally. And we don't want to see you hurt either. But your government has chosen to do this to you.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau pledged to respond by placing tariffs on more than $100 billion of U.S. goods in the next 3 weeks. Mexico and China are also responding in kind. The pressure from those countries and more pushback from industries and even fellow Republicans prompted President Trump to say he'll delay some tariffs until next month. But suffice it to say, this is more than a little disturbance, especially for the people already struggling to pay their bills. And it's not just about steel beams, trucks, and 2x4s. Many of the products you use or buy or eat or put in your car come in and out of these countries. And China, Mexico, and Canada don't pay the tariffs. Eventually, we do as consumers. We talked to local business owners who are already looking at raising prices because the products they buy cost more. And we've heard from everyday folks who wonder what this means for their finances. Financial experts say now is the time to tighten your belt.
Very concerned. We have to be concerned because we don't know what the impact is going to be yet. And we don't know how long the impact is going to be on us as well.
Of course, the hope is any problems aren't permanent and that even more retaliatory tariffs don't plunge the country into a recession. Our roundtable's here to get to the heart of a matter that could affect us all. Please welcome back Brian Ellison, host contributor with KCUR, and KMBC9 political reporter Michael Mahoney. It's important to point out there have been issues with some of these countries over tariffs before the new Trump administration took power, and tariffs on principle aren't anything new, but this is certainly an escalation.
Yeah, and I think this is an escalation of the tariff wars that started back in the first Trump term. And this time there seemed to be more teeth in them and a little bit more widespread. But as we just saw it's the uncertainty. Nature abhors a vacuum. And even though that's a cliche, it's also the case here. The uncertainty is rattling almost every part of the economy.
Well, and I think the uncertainty extends even to exactly how these tariffs will affect which sectors of the economy. Is it agriculture, which of course is very important in Kansas and Missouri? Is it manufacturing? Is it the costs of parts on other equipment that then might get exported back to these other countries? We really just don't know yet.
Right, and it filters down to the consumer, which is what all economists are saying right now. It's of course tough to know exactly what will happen, but I wanted to put this up. This is a projection from Yale University last week. It has consumer losses at $1,600 to $2,000 per household on average. That is a lot, Brian, especially for lower income families.
Yeah, and this is where I think folks think about tariffs that they don't even know what the word means. It sort of just hangs out there in the universe and we don't know how this affects us. This is where the rubber meets the road, and I think it's going to affect families in Kansas and Missouri if they start to see changes in their grocery prices, if they start to see the restaurant prices go up. Whatever's important to them, they will start to notice a difference. Remember what a big factor the price of eggs, right. Almost has become a cliche now from the last election, but the price of eggs is only going to get higher.
Exactly. And the other thing to remember, there's a huge portion of the fertilizer that Kansas and Missouri farmers use comes from Canada, all right? And farmers are in the process right now of placing their orders for fertilizer for the spring planting season. That's an area where it's going to go up. There's another one. There's over 130 parts suppliers for the automotive plants here in Missouri and in Kansas, here in the metro area. That's uncertainty. And then, as Brian just mentioned, that's a heck of a lot of money for individual households, you know.
And looking at those industries, I mean, Kansas and Missouri do big business with these three countries.
Right. Kansas has $5 billion in imports to Canada, Mexico, and China combined. And remember that Kansas has $6.5 billion in exports to those countries. Those three countries, almost half of all of the exports in Kansas. It's really no better on the Missouri side. A little more than $13 billion in imports. Again, number 1, Canada, number 2, China, number 3, Mexico. And more than $11 billion in exports. Retaliatory tariffs, again, could have a huge impact on Missouri farmers, Missouri manufacturers, and we are yet to know what other services might be affected.
Yeah. Do you think we'll see any response from Republican lawmakers? Because we have Republican legislatures in Kansas and Missouri, many of them staunch supporters of the president. What should we expect?
I think there's going to be some pushback, especially. Let's just take the agriculture for just a second. Sharice Davids, a Democrat, is on the Ag Committee. Mark Alford, a Republican from Missouri, is on the Ag Committee. Tracy Mann from Western Kansas is on the Ag Committee. They're going to be very concerned about what happens to their huge chunks of the Missouri and Kansas economies, which are directly tied to agribusiness. I mean, it's just not agriculture, it's agribusiness.
You know, you heard the Kansas Farm Bureau speak out
Right.
on a call with Sharice Davids this week, talking about the fact that even the Kansas Farm Bureau, which is not exactly a liberal think tank, had some concern about these tariffs and the short-term impact, even though they voiced some optimism that in the long run they would try to work it out. And that, of course, is what the president and his supporters are banking on as well, that somehow the long-term impact will outweigh the short-term pain of these tariffs. But there doesn't seem to be much debate over the fact that in the short term, they could really squeeze consumers.
Yeah, well, the only thing certain right now is that there's uncertainty, and of course we'll be watching that. Brian Ellison, Michael Mahoney, thank you so much. Count on KMBC 9 News as we cover the impact of tariffs across the country and here at home. It's all on air and online at KMBC.com.